Stories from Mexico. Today, we're talking about the ScrewWorm, something that's impacting the United States right now, but it also is having a big impact in the Mexico business of cattle, the contraband cattle business of Mexico. Let's get right into the article. This is a good article by Inside Crime. We had a video last time about an article of Inside Crime, and it was a very good article. They give out good articles, good information, so let's get right into it. First U.S. screwworm case spotlights contraband cattle in Mexico. The first case of the screwworm parasite in livestock has been detected in the United States, highlighting the ongoing consequences of contraband cattle smuggling from Central America into Mexico. For those who don't know, the screwworm comes all the way down from like Colombia or like South American countries, even like El Salvador, Guatemala, but it mostly comes down from South American countries. It comes all the way down from there. It was controlled. I don't know how they managed to get it out of control again, because at one point it was bad, and then they got it controlled, and now it's bad again, and it's a big impact for the people that sell cattle in Mexico, especially some people that have their business where they buy cattle. They live in the northern part of Mexico, like Chihuahua, Coahuila, all those parts. And they buy cattle from people down in the southern part of Mexico, and then they try to sell it in the United States. But now, that is gone. They're no longer buying cattle from Mexico because they're scared of the screwworm, And they should, to be honest, because if one of your cattle get the screwworm, all of them can get it, and then you lose all of them. And you also lose money. You're not selling your meat no more. You're not winning at all. Let's continue. The Department of Agriculture, the USDA, the Animal and Planet Health Inspection Services, the APHIS, confirmed the case on June 3rd. The health official said that the new world screwworm NWS parasite was detected in the umbilical area of a 3-week-old calf in the Zavala County, located in the southern Texas between San Antonio and the U.S.-Mexico border city of Eagle Pass. Following the announcement, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said the USDA and local animal health officials in Texas were taking immediate action to contain and eradicate the new world screwworm from the area. Among other things, they established a 20-kilometer quarantine area surrounding the cattle ranch and released millions of sterline, the NWS flies. Apparently, there's some flies that can take on the worm or something like that. I have no idea how they might work, but they work apparently. The so-called sterline insect technique of releasing sterline male insect into the wild to mate with the female insects is the only way to eradicate the new world screwworm, according to the USDA, and was utilized to eliminate the parasite in 1966 and again in 2017 during a small outbreak in Florida. This prevents its spread because adult female mate only one time. Okay, so they just answered my question. They made and they killed the flies. They have the screwworm apparently. It went from a contraband cattle to an animal health crisis. Every year, tens of thousands of heads of cattle are illegally raised in protected nature reserves in Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala. A large share of those animals are then smuggled into Mexico through irregular border crossings to meet the country's domestic demand. According to Inside Crime field investigations, some of the processed beef is also mixed into exports to international markets, including the United States. This dynamic makes it increasingly difficult to identify and stop the spread of parasites like the New World screwworm. After first being detected on a ranch near the Mexico and Guatemala border at the end of 2024, the virus spread north, eventually reaching the U.S.-Mexican border and now the United States. Like I was saying to you guys earlier, people buy their cattle from down the southern border, like, or southern states, right? They buy their cattle over there because it's cheaper. You get a cattle over there with like I believe like 28 pesos the kilo. You buy it over there. Over here in the north, you sell it for 40 pesos a kilo, and then in the United States you sell it for 80 pesos a kilo, maybe even more. It gets insane. So why not do that? And obviously now that we're reading that some of these cattle are being passed illegally into Mexico, they're not being registered, they're not being showered, they're not being taken care of. So that's probably why the screwworm is back again, and it's stronger than it had ever been. We're gonna look at this picture that says how the trafficking of cattle works from the Guatemala to the Mexico. On paper, cattle are supposed to come from certified ranches, have proper vaccinations and health certificates, and wear ear tags that track their movement from birth until slaughter. In practice, the contraband cattle trade in Mexico is facilitated by a lack of traceability, falsified health documents, and thriving trade in black market ear tags. This also provides meat companies plausible deniability should issues arise with cattle they've purchased or meat they've exported. While official health documents can easily be falsified by veterinarians who are paid off, ear tags contain specific codes that register the animals in government database. As a result, smugglers look to corrupt members of local cattle ranching unions who sell the ear tags they receive legally. It is a lucrative system that they have. Ear tags sold on the black market can go for as much as 10 times the legal price of around $2.50. So they're basically selling themselves out for $20, $30 at most. That's pretty sad, pretty pathetic. You're using this government help, this government tools that are being provided to keep us healthy, and they're throwing it out the window. They don't care. They're just throwing it out the window. These cattle, these ranchers, cattle holders, ranchers, whatever, they don't care about their health, right? They don't care about nobody. They just care about their money, and it's sad. It just proves us that it's corrupt everywhere in Mexico. After obtaining official documents and ear tags illegally, the cattle are officially laundered into the Mexican system, and any evidence of their true origins in Central America is erased. Unsuspecting ranchers then purchase the cattle to sell meat companies that feed Mexico's domestic market or export international markets like the United States. Like I was telling you guys earlier, they do this because it's cheaper to buy some cattle down there. But apparently the ranchers on the southern part of Mexico, they don't really care. And I'm from the northern part of Mexico, and it's a big deal for us over here. It's a very, very big deal. We don't like the screwworm. It's ruining businesses. It's ruining everything, basically. I know it ruined some plans for me. But we'll get through with this screwworm thing that's going on. Eventually, they'll get it off. Also, a little theory that me and my dad have going on is that maybe, just maybe, somebody in power in Mexico let the screwworm into the United States so they could buy more cattle from Mexico, from Mexican ranchers who sell their cattle in the United States. Because those Mexican ranchers that sold their cattle in the United States, in the northern part of Mexico, they no longer can. And who else is going to buy them in the northern part of Mexico? Nobody else but somebody with money and somebody in a position of power that sees a clear opportunity of making money in the future. You know? And that's somebody who is inside the government and knows what's going on. Right? But that's just something that we have in mind. It's not confirmed. We're just thinking. But hey, everything happens in Mexico. Mexico is a very corrupt place. As you've seen, the ranchers are selling their air tags for $30. It's crazy. They don't care. They really don't care. This ScrewWorm thing, eventually we're gonna look back to it and think like, damn, how are we this bad? How are we letting things get out of hand this bad? Mexico, once again, letting me down.